Python has been ruling the web app development market for decades, and now it is one of the most sought-after programming languages. There are tens of thousands of developers and beginners who want to learn Python and kickstart their careers in it. So let's start with top 10 Python libraries you should know for web app development. Flask is a Python framework that focuses on building robust web apps. The Flask framework has a built-in server and debugger and that runs the application and can process multiple users' requests at a time. Also, being a micro-framework, it lacks database support, but the developers have already made arrangements for it. The framework has an Sclalchemy package that connects the apps to the SQL database with the help of the database URL. Talking about the support for the Flask apps production, it is dependent on the WSGI toolkit and Jinja 2 template. Features of Flask: built-in debugger and server. Unit testing possible. Unicode-based. RESTful request dispatching. Plugin support for ORM. Linked with SQL package. WSGI compliant. Flask gives a tough competition to Django, and that is what stands it apart from others. This may be one of the reasons for many big brands like Airbnb, Netflix, Lyft, Reddit are putting their stake in leveraging Flask. Django is an open-source, high-level, full-stack Python framework that deals with developing simple to complex web apps. Just like Python, it is versatile, scalable, and flexible. Also, it agilely builds software, that is another added advantage of it. Many big brands put their trust in Django, and the reason for trusting is its constant support to robust databases such as MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle, and SQLite. Also, what makes Django stars of every developer's eye is its component reusability, less coding, unmatchable efficiency, and vast community support. CherryPy is a micro-framework, open-source, object-oriented Python framework that follows a minimalistic approach. Upon the approach, it comes with an HTTP/1.1 compliant WSGI multi-threaded web server. The applications that are built using the CherryPy framework are standalone Python apps and does not require an Apache server to run the apps. It means it can run on all Python OSes such as Windows, Linux, Mac OS, etc. Features of CherryPy: quick development time, minimalistic data access, handling of sessions, templating, caching cookies. TurboGears. Unlike other web frameworks, TurboGears is an excellent, data-driven, open-source Python framework that rapidly constructs applications. This framework stands apart in leveraging components such as WebOB, Sclalchemy, Repos, and Genshi. These components help in rapidly building apps that need database connectivity. Also, the framework is compiled with templating that bolsters object relational mapping, ORM. It turns out to be one of the leading, a flexible and extensive web framework that flawlessly launches the web applications. Features of TurboGears: MVC architectural pattern, extensive database support, command line tool is available, form and code support, bolster web server-like pylons, simplify process of client view and server deployment with the help of Tosca widgets. Bottle is a small-scale web app framework that is only dependent on Python libraries. Initially, it aimed to build only web APIs, but gradually, it has stepped into rapidly developing micro-applications. Also, what sets Bottle application apart from others is it works on a single source document. Another feature of Bottle is it ensures the swift working of developers with hardware. Features of Bottle: dynamic URL routes to map leveraging the understandable syntax, agile built-in template, easy access to data, files, cookies and other HTTP-related metadata, speedily tests and deliver high-end performance. Pyramid. A fully stack and potential web app framework that can be utilized for developing easy, simple as well as complex software. Pyramid turns out to be one of the most favorite web frameworks for the developers. Many big sharks such as Mozilla, Dropbox, SurveyMonkey are set examples of Pyramid Python web framework. Features of Pyramid: URL generator, build small and large apps, function decorator, flexible authorization and authentication, supports testing and data documentation. Sonic. It is an asynchronous web app framework that is open source and agilely handles numerous operations. It is built on top of Uveloop and got the name from its one of the key features, i.e., processing HTTP responses via async request handling. Also, it offers hassle-free capabilities and faster speed, and this compatibility comes by comparing it with Python 3.508/async functions. Features of SANIC: allows access and error logs, bolsters decorator and availability of handlers, ample plugin support, modification of configuration object either by dot notation or like a dictionary. Tornado. Tornado is a classic example of an all-round solution for developing bigger and complex structures, and that too within a short period of time. It has got everything that is necessary for building a website, such as database support, HTML templates, URL handling, and many more things. It is capable of handling 10K connections at a single point of time. Features of Tornado: web templating availability, third-party authentication and authorization, non-blocking HTTP client, high-end performance provider, localization and interpretation support. Falcon. Falcon is another micro-framework that swiftly builds web APIs. Also, it can build HTTP APIs without loading of dependencies in a huge quantity. Another advantage of Falcon is a cleaner design, which bolsters HTTP and REST architecture. Features of Falcon: DDRAM of web apps, middleware component leverage for request processing, request and response classes for header and body access, Python supports for additional speed, Unicode support, WSGI for unit testing. Works with async libraries. Web2Py. In a simple language, Web2Py is an ocean of technologies. It has everything that one wishes to have while developing projects. It is a full-stack, free-to-use, and scalable Python framework. Apart from building and maintaining, it can robustly perform testing as well. And the built-in ticketing system, that is something incredible. It detects and shows errors that are occurred while developing the app. Furthermore, it stands first in providing security to the applications from vulnerable attacks as well. And not only security, but it also encompasses algorithms such as MD5 or HMAC plus SHA-512 hash that protects the storage-sensitive credentials.